We are live as far as I know.
Okay, that's really good. Where are we? Where are we live?
Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Let's get on there. Let's see what's going on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Um, I just restarted stuff on Zencaster. Alright. Alright, everyone watching, all two of you. I'm doing an interview this week with Brennan Weinstein, and we are going to be talking about what he's doing. And this is the first episode of the Open Podcast Community Podcast.
All the pictures everybody sends me looks fantastic. Amazing. It's not far from me. What we got?
I thought that was you. Okay. I don't know. Wait, that was you, because I saw the waves. Alright, do you want to promote this at all? Like, I could put it in Open Podcast. And I've already tweeted it, because I have that set up. Ah. Microphone. How about now?
Let's try this. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's this weird noise. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There's an echo, in some manner.
Oh, I probably...
I can definitely hear you now. I installed a new driver. Do you possibly have headphones connected to hear you?
Uh... Alright, I don't have any headphones on now. I turned them off.
And how about? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, great. That's wonderful.
I can't hear... You just failed the audio.
You cannot hear me?
I can hear you now.
Great. I can hear you as well. I think we got it worked out.
Alright. That was you.
I know, because the problem is I cannot hear you, actually. As soon as I turn my volume up at all, I'm unable to hear you. So I can see you, but not hear you. That's the issue. Let
Okay.
me try this. The output. Why don't we do this? Disabled. Save. That should work for us. I think that's me hearing my own voice, right? Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you as well.
Okay.
Great. It looks like we're in business. Sorry, guys.
Alright. No worries. They're used to it. Anyone who's watching me and who consistently watches me.
Yeah, you, not me.
Alright. By the way, I can always edit things out if you want.
I don't mind. I think everyone that might be tuning in probably has seen or known me, so I'm not all too worried. I let them see the real, authentic us.
Alright. Alright, so I'm gonna start.
We can get this done for 2 hours to start the day.
This is exactly why I only schedule a stream on days I record the podcast and I stream. Because things happen. Alright, I'm gonna start recording. Hello and welcome to the Open Podcast Community Podcast. This is episode number 2, and the guest is Brennan Weinstein, and we will be going through his background and what he's working on right now. Welcome, Brennan.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. It's the first time we've been a part of any of the open podcasts, so sounds like a great idea. I love the movement and excited to get to know you guys.
All right, so why don't you tell us about yourself, your background, and how you got here?
Okay, so I think than the traditional maker or I'd say bootstrap indie maker. I have a little bit of a different backstory. Mine kind of came from realizing that's the side of entrepreneurialism and venture capital wasn't really where I wanted to go with a product that I hadn't been able to build in full on my own. So that dates back to about 2013. I'm a junior in college, and just like any other 21-year-old seeking extra money, or you're on campus trying to be entrepreneurial, and my partner Doug and I decided we had this little watch business in which interchangeable colored watches could be sold and change colors. When we were in college, this seemed like a hit. We were like, I go to Indiana, he goes to Syracuse. We're playing each other in sports. Everyone decked out in colors. The watch to import was, pennies on the dollar. It was we selling it for a few bucks, but instantly we learned like that was what's driving us. Like there was business that was more fun than even having gone to the game that night. I mean, that was like the early telltale signs for me was I didn't want to go that night to the after party. I was like, I want to go get, figure out how we're going to plan to what to do next. So from there, the next plan was to realize we're on a campus. We have a very strong network between us, right? I'm studying business at Indiana University at this point. He's studying business at Syracuse. Where those two networks and areas, being one in the Midwest, one on the East Coast, get this great distribution. So we're going to reach a ton of students. We were going to get them some watches, whatever the product may be in their hands, and run an affiliate, referral marketing engine, right? Give them a commission. Sell watches that are blue and white if you go to North Carolina. Sell watches that are red and white if you go to Indiana. A few bucks a pop. It didn't matter what the price was. We got to get our names out there. In a matter of 3 months, the view of what we were as professionals was he's a graduating collegiate, or he's an emerging entrepreneur, right? We weren't doing anything special. We were the mindset of wanting to create something, right? I stay with that today. The manner in which I went to create something, I do have some regrets on, not regrets that I would, regret about myself, regrets that hindsight's 2020, I would have done them differently. When I first started that company, the only thing you did and what we had learned was you go and you raise a $250,000 seed or Series A, right? The goal is to get into Y Combinator, something along those lines. So we sit down, we draw business models. We're going to build a referral engine for one reason, not to just generate viral traffic at all. We're going to do it from the opposite side. I was a college student with friends and the most connected on their phones, their computers, learning in a learning environment on the computer, that could not manage to create one formal channel of communication for our student ambassadors to sell these watches, to communicate with us, and submit work that we wanted them to do, right? It was like, it seemed illogical to us. I know that these enterprise level organizations can, but who's doing that for $2 items, right? And who's set that up yet? You couldn't shop and buy something on Wix without a business account yet, right? Or Shopify. So we were like, you know what we're gonna do? We think that this can't be the only audience and the only demographic that's suffering from this, those who kind of want to sell something little. How many people can't find a platform to communicate with, and only with those that are on collegiate campuses across the nation? Very, very few can, right? Most things are built directly through the LMS, the learning management tool.
Right. What year was this to be?
This was in 2013.
Okay.
So I was, 2011, I graduated high school. So I'm 27 years old. At that time I was 21 by the time that I had finished up, all of the building out of the business plans and everything. I remember celebrating that birthday. I do. 21st. Maybe not remember, but it was a good time. So we're about 21, 20, and 21. Our third co-founder at this point, and we're deciding on whether or not we think that model we just built is really actually relatable to an organization maybe the size of, let's say, Red Bull. Because I think many of you who have been in college or in college know you've seen those little Red Bull trucks driving around giving away free Red Bull, right? Or a stand outside of a campus hall giving T-shirts. Maybe the Economist, maybe Barnes and Noble, maybe Sperry. Those are three of our large clients during the times. We were fine with that, right? And we were fine with that because our job was being accomplished. Now that we knew we had one communication channel, the businesses were able to create a profile that they wanted to offer opportunities to students on a certain campus. Students would be able to register for a profile like a LinkedIn, find those matching jobs to them on their campus, get paid to do short little gigs, and manage it all in the same way they were managing their current coursework, learning management tool. We were the first integration with Blackboard, so that through their Blackboard LMS account, you could see your outside of coursework, your externship work you had to go accomplish. Built learning development, career development, as well as the schools began to get relations with employer brands they didn't have before, because they were there to market, and now they were interested in the student. So taught me a lot about the different sides of the marketplace, really. But the thing that I could no longer handle in being there was I did not know how to code. I was not coding and I was not writing this the core product that we were going to be thriving on, right? We're 6 months into a full public launch. I'm still managing a team of developers in the United States and overseas. The overseas, not outsourced, but support team, right? And I go to sit down for what they tell me is, now I understand, a product sprint. We're going to do a design sprint. My first reaction was to yell at my partner, Doug, can you get Greg? We need our designer, right? Little do I know, I'm like, that's how you run as a product manager, a sprint, releasing features. It's called a design sprint. So they sat me down. I'm sitting there going, I can't not have a say in what I'm building, and I can't have to convince someone else to want to build what I want them to build when I'm still giving them the money to build it. It became a frustrating factor beyond not being able to build it, but feeling like I was the only reason that was true. I was telling myself I couldn't, telling myself, you don't know how to code like they can. You're never going to be as good as them. He's a professional at that. Why don't you just let them do that? That's their job. Well, I put together the framework and the idea, the model for this type of business, the business that 2 months later went on to raise $350,000 of a seed round, ended up raising close to like about $1 million in total capital, staying at 5 employees and close to profitable throughout the entirety of the 5 years. I was able to accomplish that, yet I could not see anything else in myself being able to actually build this thing I wanted, right? I was going to have to make enough money to pay someone to do so. When that kind of happened is when I really started to look out elsewhere, find inspiration, find other, technologists. I'd always been a product hunter like that. I'd always been sitting through, it could be at that time, I think it was definitely product hunt, but there was even, I was using Beta Page existed, Beta List existed, Startup. There were countless of them. I would sit on forum boards and wait till someone would post a new product, but I would look at them all and go, I'm looking at this for who do I think is clever enough to be the one that I want to pick to be my guy, right? Like that was exactly where I didn't. It was that imposter syndrome that me and you had spoke about earlier, but not right. Like I'm not telling myself I'm bad. I'm just trying to be realistic to the point of like, I don't know that I will be enjoying myself going through another learning experience. That's a lot different than saying I can't. So I took a step back and I realized if you want to learn this, you got to learn it, and it's going to be, you're on your own, right? Coding boot camps are there. I find that to still be on your own, but it was going to be something that I had to reach out to a community, right? Like I was going to need my own resources, not the education system, not my father even working in software engineering. They weren't involved with the way we're learning today, agile methodologies, right? Um, the world, the environments we live in, serverless computing. Like I sat my dad down and asked him to start teaching me. He's a 25-year executive in technology. He had no clue what one of the words I used were. When I said react, he said react to what? Right? Like this is what I'm trying to learn from a. It's not him. It's our generation. The speed and the rapid releasing of new technologies. That's the reason I'm even in the position I'm in to begin with. The speed of technology advancing so far put marketplaces with social networks on the map, which is where my thought of putting together job boards and students marketing on a campus came to me, right? It was all from mixtures of prior thoughts before. And now I wanted to take that one step further and say, that was my thought period. Now I'm going to build it. Right. So that's pretty much where University Beyond was like, I would say 4 years in of its 5-year existence. As you could see, I was kind of wanting and desiring to be able to go and now create and build. I was confident in myself. I've been spending a lot of time learning, different programming languages offline. I did take a General Assembly course. I got a certificate in product management at product school. I wanted to know the ins and outs of being able to speak with an engineer, right? It's very, very difficult, like without understanding product management well, to convince an engineer that he better finish this a week faster than he thinks he's going to. And zero about the languages he's writing, right? So that to me felt like I better do that if I want to be even in the room first. So when I got through with understanding how products were developed, managed, maintained, and that role didn't need to be the core engineer, that's when I actually found myself able to succeed in learning how to code the best, of the periods of my life. Because it no longer felt like it's either do this or die, right? Like I've now decided to write code. I better get real good at it. Or can I use the fact that I'm able to understand and build, right, applications on my own for my success as a product manager, where my interests and skill sets do lie, data, etc. Like that took a long time for me to realize. And I think that I didn't do enough reaching out to people, right? Until about a year ago, I would say, when people like Alex, people like, communities, Product Hunt, I've been around and a member of for a little bit longer, but communities such as Product School's Slack community, 35,000 plus product, enthusiasts, whether they be professors, their current PMs in Silicon Valley, giving us AMAs every day, and like realizing I now had a network I could tap into, right? Community building became the next thing in 2015 and 2016, right? We started seeing communities pop up all over. We see MakerLog, we see Indie Hackers, right? We see communities designed around those like I was finding myself falling into, which is the exact opposite of what I had seen myself 2.5 years earlier, going and meeting with venture capitalists to raise funding, So I as I said, I went through a little bit, of curvy path to try to find out that at the end of the day, I really just wanted to build something, which was the same thing that I started with. I just never got the confidence internally to say, I'm going to be able to make that. So why don't I just sit down myself and try to make that, right? Whether or not it takes a lot of learning. I'm happy I did. Today, I feel a lot more confident about myself. I work closely with some of my most respected makers that are creating not for the monetary value that they know that they could earn in a salary at a certain organization, but because of the pride they take in their work, right? The ability to put out products and in a manner and to those in which they would like to, empower. I think the women's movements are all phenomenal. I think that schools that are doing a lot for for students that are from foreign countries or that are living in impoverished areas, there's a lot of movements that have been able to be built around the limits, the breaking down of limitations of technology, right? You were stuck with an elite building what the elite wanted. If we can all build things, it expands to a lot more possibilities. So I was like finally feeling at home, right? Like I don't need to be the best developer in the room. I can have the same conversation with these three people. Maybe he's an engineer, maybe he's a designer. That's what products, that's what product oriented, folks do. I want to just be a part of the product phase. So I've now been, I would say, for a good year and a half since then, since the end of like 2017, early 2018, I've been steadily still practicing, keeping my skills fresh, but I've taken a lot of side projects. I worked for about 12 to 16 months leading the initial product development and data infrastructure configuration, basically, for a esports company called Geyser. That was an interesting gig. It was another great experience. I definitely know now that like just joining another group of people just because there's a group of people is not why you join a team, right? You join a team to be with the people who are like-minded, who want to build like things with you, and that you enjoy being around. You're gonna make way better products, and you're going to be way more enjoyable. Your life's gonna be that much more enjoyable if you get to go home and not go back to work, but go on to the same computer you were at work on, doing the same thing, and now it's just for your enjoyment, right? It makes work not a thing anymore. So I found that the hard way. I think that I fooled myself for a while into thinking I shouldn't even really try to like code. It seemed like a 4-year college experience. I was too behind the the ease in today with the amount of free resources online. I could not recommend it more to start at least your understanding of technology. Start building something. No code is a great way to start that. You have an idea in your head, start making it, put it together, right? If you had an idea, you would have put it together in a flyer on Microsoft Word when you were in high school. You wouldn't have been shy to do that. Now, granted, it's much more intricate than that, but on the grand scheme of things, we took it from, am I going to sit in a typewriter and actually go through the effort of like, making that document, or do I have to just type a few letters into a Apple Notes pad, and will I have it forever, right? Like, to me, that's the level of difference. Like, one is just manual and like analog, right? And then one is to the layperson, and then one is a dashboard with widgets that you can drag and drop around, right? That person knows how to reorder this. They don't know how to manually reconfigure things, right? We never learned the science behind computing. We just learned how to write the language. Boot camps don't teach you why the computer is reacting to a certain script. It just teaches you that it does. So I think, Alex, you know what my next step might be that I'm considering. I think we spoke about it a little bit, but that's kind of a little bit of a background on my kind of formal experience as well as personal thoughts on why and where I've come to. I'd like to inform you guys that I'm happy as ever. I'm at home in a community of people who root for me, right? Like, I know Alex does. I know I do for them. I know this morning me and Fahar had an unbelievable conversation. And like it's those little things that are coming from people who are not sitting there in your benefit. They don't work for you, right? It's that empowerment that I'm saying made me so much more successful than the empowerment of going to college and being told because you have this, you should get that job, right? Having people be there for you is really, really crucial. And so I think that the difference maker for me became 3 years of confusion. In the last year, I've been a part of communities. Things have started to clear up and have resources. So hope you guys were able to follow along that little windy brain of mine. But Alex, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't often go back into my past, to be honest.
No problem. So you have University Beyond, Geyser. What are you working on now?
I'm actually working on a couple things. So the parent company in which I've owned University Beyond, like my shares, protected wise, while I was working on side gigs, it's Insight Venture Group. So the reason why it's Insight is that's what that's what I'm interested in at the end of the day, right? I want to build applications so that I can see what data is being produced by it. The data in the end of the day is is words to me. Where people hear things, hear sentences, like I look at a screen and I'm looking at shapes and numbers for a pattern, right? Like that's the way my mind works. So I love visual designing, of course, but the end of the day, the goal for me is to deploy it, release it, so that I can analyze its impact on anything, impact on my revenue or impact on trees planted. If you're, you know, one tree planted, whatever it may be, the understanding of building, you know, KPI metrics. You know what I mean? Trying to achieve them, seeing how close you are, fine tuning, adjusting, reiterating, and going after it again to, you know what I mean, basically hone your craft. Like that's where I found myself to be very, very um, rewarding feeling in the product space. I no longer feel undereducated or underexperienced.
Okay, interesting. So, you're a very prominent member of the product hunt community, and there was just a product hunt meetup in New York, and you hosted that, correct?
Yes, I did. I did.
How'd that go?
Um, I gotta say that was fun. I'll start off with your question about yes, I am a prominent member. I guess you could say in the product hunt community. I think that prominence comes very much so from just my raw pure interest. I am not always intentionally reaching out to or sharing other people's products for them. It's most of the time me saying like, maybe I just need to remember this, right? Or I know this, like this guy or girl who's building this knows what it feels like when someone else that's never spoken to them before has retweeted or shared their product. Not their thoughts, not their words. Twitter to the tech world is a much different place than it is to everyone else, right? Like it's your it's your life being in some sense. Like if you tweet out you know your link and it's corrupted, you may not be getting more you know viewers to that site. So like when I know when you put something out and you have random unnetworked right people that are not even connected to others of yours finding your product, it means you've obviously started doing something correct, right? You're getting a sense of virality on its own. That's what I loved about the product community. When I started out in there, I didn't really know anyone, right? To me, it was just an endless array of everything I didn't know was made over the past X many years. And then when you get into a point where you've now seen all that exists and you're building new tools, I always ask this question. If you're a product manager and you're building a social platform, right? Whether it be you know funded or not, someone like a Facebook releases, let's date back 10, 15, you know, 12, whatever, 12 years it was, the open graph. Do you think if you were not paying attention as a product or like designer, product analyst, product evangelist, product discovery manager, like that graph was going to lay all the groundwork for relationship, right? The sentiment of that, how to 1, 2, 3, 4 plus people are connected, right? There, that's the entirety of a social network. It's built on a map. It's mathematical, right? When we search directory searching for other users that might have had the same first letter name, we weren't getting anywhere, right? Like that's why that whole social didn't feel fun. Social feels fun today because any of us can create anything, invite each other in, and we're still keeping our communities of users, but by showing each other what we've made. Not, hey, Mark Zuckerberg made this thing called Facebook. You want to join me in Messenger on it? It's a lot different than saying, you know, I just made such a, like, you can name any application you want to, or you can shout out any of the makers. Let's say Mode's a good one, right? Or Danielle and James. I love Leave Me Alone. Like for me to be able to say for like people I know have made that effort and that progress in putting that application out. I don't necessarily take pride in it, but I certainly feel a devotion to not leaving that product, right? That's the community that I'm talking about. Like that's not buying and a cult like. That's support. That's exactly what you look for in a community of like-minded individuals, right? So I think that's really what broke me out of my shell to realize, like, go for it, be yourself, go work in communities, go reach out to the product hunt users, right? Start talking to some of them. Just tweet at them, right? Who cares if they don't answer you, right? You're just, all you're doing is stating your opinion that you like the thing, or if you're smart about what you had said or intelligent in your field, people are going to pick up on that. You know what I mean? If I follow you, Alex, and someone retweets you that I find to be brilliant, right? I'm now looking at you and both of you in another light. So I think that Twitter, like, and capturing the social wins you can from there, um, getting yourself seen but not advertising yourself, gets it becomes tricky. You know what I mean? But I like to take it from a different angle, which I'm going to touch on later. Instead of selling a support angle, I think it allows for just as much growth and learning, but a way stronger network. And I'll touch on that in a few moments. I just wanted to also take a few minutes to thank everyone that was involved with the product meetup with me. I know Eric is on it from Bubble. They provided the space. He was great help. And we had a sponsor, public.com, giving away free $20 worth of stock to everyone. That was really nice of you guys. And Al from Coda has been a super, super, super helpful resource as well. If any of you are out there from New York, we have a Product Hunt New York meetup, event series that we're going to be continuing to go on with. And I will definitely, after this, have Alex shoot out a link to that. If any of you guys are interested in seeing and following along on our future events.
All right. Is that it? Did I miss anything?
I don't think you missed anything. I was going to elaborate a little bit on actually how the event went. It was really cool. I don't know. Are you guys on your stack? Like, are you on?
I just signed up yesterday actually.
It's. What are your thoughts? How about that?
I think it's a little bare, but they're gonna release more features.
Yeah, I can see the bear statement. I think that it makes sense to a lot of people now why you were able to see that it's going to exist but not see it yet, is that it was probably more bare, right? Some of us did see that, but it's going to take all of the networking effect of what we're doing in these next few weeks that actually builds that out, right? If it's not mapped yet that you and I like enough similar products, how is it going to recommend me the right tool, right? So I think that those experiences will grow and will become part of, innately part of the application, the way any social platform does. I think the value it adds is that we all go and sit on product hunt, find things, find the people that made them, but there's no touch point in between to say, I want to discuss with the people that are also using these things, not in a forum board, but in the way we know how to communicate in a social network, right? So it puts right at the intersection all of the missions and value that product hunt adds with the value principles the users have brought, the community, right? It's now a community network of the products people uses, right? I hope it doesn't detract from the whole core business, but to me, it's fun. I was addicted to it the first few days. I'm like, all right, yeah, I use that one too. And then I find myself I'm like, wow, I gotta stop paying for some of these things because I use way too many applications. But yeah, I find it to be one of those addicting things. The way upvoting became for me, right? I'm like, oh, love that one. So I find it to be fun, but I see what you're saying with the bear. It's not many things you have to do.
Yeah, I feel like it's an extension of Product Hunt because it's these are the products that people are releasing, and these are people's favorites products that they show on your stack.
Right. I think that if you leverage it in a sense that doesn't compete with each other, but turns one more into the directory and one more into let's view it this way. IMDb is a review engine, right? With a directory of everyone that's related to any of those movies. That directory can be very powerful if placed behind Netflix, right? Now you see how when you're on Netflix and you scroll over or you pause a movie and you can see who it is, that actor is, and see how the other movies he's in.
Mm-hmm.
That that was later on than what we used to have to go to IMDb for, right? So I can see a way in which growing down the road, like Product Hunt is that place for categorical, right? Like organized, methodical searching for products versus the networking effect of that products have, right? Like I know firsthand going through with some clients of mine a product launch on Product Hunt and killing it, right? And then you think you're off to the races, and 2 weeks later, the only guy that's off to the races is the guy who's launching on Product Hunt today, right? How are you keeping that demand? How are you keeping that communication going, right? You're just leveraging a big launch and hoping it hit that one time, or are you building a community of people who you can get to become advocates of your product every day, right? That's where I see your stack growing into versus Product Hunt staying just the hunting, you know what I mean, and releasing of your products. The next step is how we're going to all communicate and discuss about them.
Right. It's a continuing conversation of the product.
Which I think that's the community. They're a community, right? Like, I don't think building, like revenue first products is the move. You know what I mean? There, I think making sure you have things like your stack where people can leave the money side where you see a sponsored post and go into just where their friends are, right? That makes it feel safe.
Yeah, definitely. So you've been on the VC side and you've been on the indie side. I was wondering if you had an opinion about profit sharing agreements like with Earnest Capital or Indie VC.
I definitely do. I'm really glad you brought this up. So that's the reason. This topic is the reason why in many of my actual professional profiles, I have to, and I am often asked about my fundraising experience. Having raised $500,000 up to $1 million over 2 rounds of funding, it doesn't go to you, so that's a myth, that's a lie. You don't see a dollar of it. But it's giving me an avenue that everyone comes down to when they want to talk to me, right? I saw you guys raised. Like that was the stigma. I didn't want to be told, and I'm going to keep names out. I'm going to leave an example, but it took 2 days into having a term sheet to realize exactly why this wasn't going to work. I'll tell you, you know what I mean? Like spending $11,000 of the $300,000 they give you to purchase their SEO tools that are worse than the product I use and is strictly a Gecko board account for $49 is a justification of them saying they want to harness your data to do what they want to do with it, correct or not?
Yeah.
There's no way they're not going to give the data guy they're investing the right to use that, but instead charge him to not do it, right? It's the same negative. That leads to so many other frustrations I can get into that are, we have your money, and now you've started to grow because you knew you had the money. You're a sucker for the money, right? Like Earnest Cap, to be honest, I think, I mean, I know Indie VC does too, but Earnest Cap to me has one of the strongest models in the sense that I read, and I was speaking with a few of them, that you, regardless of the amount you raise and they're willing to back you with, you're not given all of it, right? Like, we don't know when we go into a room and they say, I want to raise 10 million. And then the big VC says, how quickly can you scale if we give you 100, right? Be that kid in the room. You say no to $100 million? Like almost never, right? But we're coming to an age where we're a period where we're realizing that, like, yeah, I'm gonna say no to that because I can make 100 in 2 years, 3 years if I grow the right way. If I make 100 this year, I'm gonna lose 300 next year, right? Like there's no way I could scale it 100 times as fast as I ever was and succeed. There's no bandwidth. So for me, it's not about which is the better business at all, right? Like you said, you were in the VC space, you were in the like income share space. I wasn't in the space. I've dealt with going through and trying to work with and raise money from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in and it's funny, you think it should be an insult when they're like, no, I'll give you like 50 grand and we'll renew again. Like we'll revisit it again in 6 weeks. You're like, 50 grand. Like they want to raise they want to give us $4 million. Like, and then you realize they're doing that because they're going to help guide your growth of spend, right? With too much money in your hands, you have too much ability to spend it incorrectly. So I think the way that they build and model themselves as, well, if we're wrong and we don't give you enough to spend, we won't take a percentage of the revenue because you didn't generate any. They lose too. It's the only way to directly tie the incentive of the guy with more money to the guy with no money who's building, right? It's an unfair paradigm where the rich are going to definitely get richer, but the poor are now the capable, but getting less and less. So it's like you're not even giving those who have done and proven it the chance. I don't think that that's healthy. I think we will see a shift in it. I don't think it's heading this way forever. I think these funds are going to realize, not just on an ethical standpoint, on their own internal financial standpoint, like this doesn't work. You know what I mean? It worked for a while when we could see hypergrowth companies like Facebook go from a $10 million valuation to a $100 billion company publicly traded, and then grow that 10 times more in the next 5 years. That wasn't around. You didn't have that much potential that you needed to be the seed funder in the seed round of Uber. Because if you hit it once, like, your whole family's set for life, right? Like, that's at an any cost thing. I don't think that's where we'll be forever, but I don't think all, income shares are going to be the way to go. You still need traditional banking, right? You still need lines of credit. You still need working capital. But when it comes to that stage of maker, builder, creator, this is a beautiful thing to be happening where there are intelligent enough and genuine enough people like Tyler and Ben and Ernest Cap who don't want to screw you. They don't want to give you too much money that hurts you. They want to together make a business with you. That's the most fun thing in the world, when you together sit down and make a profitable business that works. Like the end of a night of a sprint, when you finish and release and you're like, yo, and that is awesome. Like, I love our new features. Like, that is nothing I better feeling. Doing it alone because the VC told you had to meet a deadline makes you start to hate what you do. So that was my view. I don't think that they're bad for the industry. Like, we need that kind of level of money. AI would be nowhere without hundreds of millions of dollars of investments, right? Machine learning, nowhere. So don't take VC as like everybody. It's not the right thing for the first-time maker who needs a little bit of marketing cap. Not be told, wow, that idea is even better than I thought. Here's 10 times as much as that. Go higher. You're nowhere near ready for any of that. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't ready. I went through an accelerator first, a 3.5-month accelerator, Dream It Ventures. We still were barely ready, right? And that was designed to make you ready. That's also another reason we didn't take $5 million. $300,000 was going to make sure we didn't sell too far of our company, right? It was a seed round. It felt normal. The average round at that stage for our size company was $1.2 million. We took a quarter of it, right? That was a perfect deal for us. We needed some money. We needed salaries and some left over, but we didn't just get rich. And now, whatever doesn't work, we have a couple million in the bank. That would have been like, it wouldn't have been accomplishment at all. I wouldn't have felt accomplishment. I mean, it wouldn't have succeeded. So that's the way I feel about the VC, space like that. I think it's just more ethical and it's better for a certain audience. It's not better for everyone.
Okay, interesting. So I've been applying to jobs, and I've noticed that some companies they've been staying private for longer. Like, they go from series they have like a Series D and a Series E funding of a round of funding. I was wondering if there was any advantage for them staying private longer.
Yes. So I see what I take from that is not so much as my market intelligence, right? From them staying private longer. Staying private longer certainly allows them to not have to beat revenue expectations in order to release an earnings call that's going to see them not dip under it, like in the after hours. If you start to think about a private company that has cash in the bank and a credit limit on file, that's how much money they have, right? That's how much money they're worth. Public company that was expected to grow by 12% because they've been growing by 12% per month, which is never going to happen, right? is now growing by 6%. The stock market's built, the price is already built in, accounting for future earnings potential. So if your future earnings potential was 12%, but you still grew by 6%, you're telling me that you now lost your capital to go build that other 6%. You see what I'm saying? Like, if your stock drops, you lose money. So if you were supposed to grow by 10% and you grew by 5, your stock will drop, even though you grew by 5%, right? Because it wasn't as good as everyone was betting on. It's a disappointment, right? Now you've disappointed. They want to take their money out, and you've already lost the money. So if you're not at a stage where your institutional investors have owned enough of the company, right? They're not going to be an Uber-like company where the second and the day possible for all of your executives to sell their shares, right? That barrier to sale is over. Dumping of your shares, right? Does that state any confidence to an investor or a person that you should want to be in that company for the long haul, or that they feel like they probably got the most out of it already? Right? Like that's the way I see that. So I think that if you could stay private long enough, why go public? You're never going to hit 500 shareholders. Like, I don't know if many people know that actually. Like, if the second you even accidentally cross the 500 shareholder mark, you have to become a public company. So if you don't need to be raising money from that many people, people, and you don't need to grow at that billions of capitalization rate, I don't think you need to go public, right? I don't think you need. I use Slack as a good example. Like, Slack to me was like, I loved it. Everything, everyone I knew loved it. There were obviously its flaws. It's quirky. It's buggy, but when it goes public, right? It's now not just that fun, engaging, chat tool we use in our offices and through boot camp courses. It's the product that generates how much revenue and how much do they spend, right? What's their rev run rate? Like, that's not what I wanted to be talking about yet. It's about Slack, right? Like, I'm still seeing innovation there and what it becomes. Not already talking about whether or not they should have ever went public and is it a bad investment? Should they get acquired? Like, acquired already. We were just tapping into we were just getting there, That's the damage I see in companies going public too early, is that if they're not going to succeed, we never saw their true potential.
Okay. Interesting take. Is there anything else you want to mention, or?
Yeah, sure. I actually had a couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, congratulations this week to all of the the Golden Kitty winners, and Fahar for a runner-up. I think he was the only runner-up winner that got his own design, but that still works. I'm still waiting on my Fahar. But I think that I want to really congratulate too, like, all of Alex, all of Open Podcasts for coming together and like deciding to discuss the fact that not everyone here knew how to run a podcast, right? And that we're all interested in doing it, but we need some help. And that's what I touched on earlier in this conversation, and I'd like to finish on, is that this community, I try to jump into many different ones. I'm happy I joined this one. I would like to start podcasting a bit. I know that there's several people I would love to speak to. Get their insights. I think it's really awesome. We have a place to go to like schedule and ask questions about what we should talk about. Therefore, I didn't feel nervous coming into this, and I haven't done a podcast or a live stream in well over a year. I didn't feel nervous because I'm not looking at who's looking at me, but we speak enough together about the false conceptions we're giving ourselves about being scared of something, when we know each other and we know what we're capable of, right? To anyone out there, I have not been on a live stream in a year and a half, right? We had technical difficulties for 30 minutes before trying to get this going. 5 seconds before we started, we finally could hear each other, right? It's not going to stop us from having had a discussion in front of you guys in public. It's a healthy discussion. It's what happens, and the rest of the people that do get that bug the first time in Open Podcast don't have to feel alone either, right? Like, that's that type of honesty and just genuineness is what I'm like really excited to see going forward, and I think that we can have some like awesome Open Podcast discussions. So thank you very much for having me on.
No problem, man. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, you don't have to find me. No, I'm just kidding, guys. You can find me on LinkedIn, Brendan Weinstein. If you want to, just professionally connect. I'd much rather you guys follow me on Twitter. That's where I live all day. You'll find my, product ideas or discuss with me. If you need, something emergency, DM me. I usually answer them. I'm reachable on DM. Never gonna find me on Facebook, for sure. And if you're in any of these maker communities or want to be, reach out to me and I can either introduce you or reach out to me in one of the communities. Maker Log. Work in progress. We're in Product Hunt. We're on Product Hunt. We're in your stack. Like if you're interested in products and you're in a community, I'm sure we can connect somehow, and I would love to. So feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Thanks for coming on. If
Thank you so much.
No problem. If you want to be a guest on Open Podcast or host your own podcast, come join the Telegram chat and talk to me. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't breathe. I couldn't swallow anymore at a certain point.
That's why I have the water, dude.
Remember what I said about it's gonna be awkward if you put it somewhere? Look where it is. It's like behind the chair. I'm like, hold up, guys.
Dude, you can see mine. I just have it right here.
Totally more acceptable than like turning around and grabbing a drink backwards in a video. How many people were? I didn't see one person watching. I didn't look on social because that scares me when I do.
I didn't even I just said streaming on the Open Podcast Telegram chat.
Good, because when we're gonna be able to have like a really good one time with like a couple or a few of us, and I didn't want them to have seen the 4, 5, 10 minutes in the beginning, have signed on and seen us just not knowing what we were doing. I didn't care about talking about it, right? It's like it's healthy. Yeah. Like we fucked up. We couldn't get the shit going. Like to me, when I hear that, I laugh because I'm like, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I laugh because it's true. It's me. Like that's me doing that. I'm sitting there bug debugging shit. But yeah, that was good. You do like get nervous, but you channel your nervousness into like a professional question book. That's what I was gonna say. Like you know what I mean? You start to smile, and then you also start to smile when you read something funny on your screen.
No. The reason why I was smiling is because like I didn't have to do anything. You did all the work.
I've been trying to do that for you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
In the beginning, you're like, I don't know, I'm nervous. I don't know what to talk about. I was like, so I'll just talk.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the point of it. That's the point of interviewing someone is that like the host is supposed to shut the fuck up. The guest is supposed to talk.
Your questions are supposed to be something I knew. We designed them in the beginning so that I can just keep talking. Your interjection is usually, like you're saying, it's supposed to be to remind the topic of a conversation and keep it going in that manner.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to only speak, right? And that's why like I do need to oftentimes like stop in that sense. But when you're telling a story for the first time to everyone, to cut it short for you to ask a question is usually not helpful. I like to save that for when like there's community questions, right? Or like you're in Twitch and they're coming in real time. Now you're going to stop yourself from just rambling because there's something else important to talk about, you know?
Yeah. Oh, this is still streaming.
That's good.
All right. Yeah, dude. Seriously, thank you.
That was the worst part, dude.
Yeah, let me download all this.
Delete it and upload it back up. I'm the least shy person. You'll see, like, I'm me everywhere because, like, and that's why Fahar, like, I said it to Fahar earlier. I told him, I walked him through everything I am and have done at University Beyond, and, like, I don't highlight the things I've done for a couple reasons. The first 18 months after I sold University Beyond, I was basically a gag order because they didn't buy the brand name. They bought all the assets. If I just say University Beyond to anyone, they assume it's still the same exact thing. So it's basically a gag order. Like until it's recognized that I no longer am operating there, don't make it a thing. It wasn't like a written rule like that. It was not healthy for me or us. Like maybe not getting our money. Then what happened was I joined Geyser, and University Beyond was like, you know, a far in the past hindsight basically. And I don't want to say this out loud to anyone. Not many people are in there. Many people are anywhere. It was a failure, and I'm never gonna say this ever again about myself. I was right from every piece of research I wrote. If you see how much I have and what I would show you right now, exactly what and why we needed to do it. 2013, I founded this company on the principle that we were going to give you skill-based assessments while you're at your first day at school through senior year from real companies that were going to come on campus and offer you work to build up your resume and your skills through college, right? And then that's how you were going to get a job, not the degree, but what did you learn from workplaces while you were there, and how did you apply what you learned in the classroom to that? That is the only understanding of education at all, right? So I was like, that's what we're building. You're going to get your first job day one. It's Red Bull trucks. But year two, there's the Indiana University Dance Marathon, right? Like now you're going to work for the sponsors. You're going to get sponsors for that, right? You're doing work in the marketing field for your marketing degree that it's like in real life, not reading a textbook and answering which theory of marketing that was, right? It doesn't help. You don't just sit at trade booths and hand out a free L'Occitane hand wash for 6 hours a day when you're a marketer, right? Like those were the gig jobs. Gone from University on was the desire to build a technology platform that was going to enable you to basically be what my largest competitor, and I have no shame in saying how well she's done. The platform is everything, not everything, it's 35 to 40% of what I always envisioned building, what she did too. We spoke about it and built it in that period of time together. At Forbes 30/30 in 2017, she spoke what great things about like the area of social. It was, I think at the time it was like social recruitment we were calling it, and like enterprise social networks for talent recruitment. There wasn't really yet like a job board ATS. That wasn't like the thing yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like 2012, and I think she put it like so she put it very well in saying that old model was what was hurting the minorities, right? Hurting women, because it was just following that same man's going to refer a man to a recruiter and hire him model, versus here's profiles of everyone highlighted by what they can do and how well from the day they went to college, right? When we all graduated and were hiring, we were the next generation. We didn't have that bias. We looked at you for what you were on a profile, not what you were in skin, right? You didn't even originally we didn't want you to have a picture on a profile.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted them to totally not hire you as a marketer because you're a good-looking 20-year-old girl and Nike wants you, right? That would have again defeated the purpose. Like, so what do you think happened there? Why do you think we ended up staying with marketing gigs, little marketing gigs, and good strong brands, but marketing gigs?
Because it's easier to get people to do that than the higher marketing.
At first, yes, easier to get them to buy in. It's easier to generate revenue.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to get a hire made, him actually doing all this work, right, before I'm seeing anything. So to get them to be convinced to train them, grow them for the right, they may not guarantee to hire them, but if they do, they have to pay even more, is a hard, that's a lot of friction purchase, right? So if you had maybe internal school organizations running the first 2 years of programs or something like that, where you're not advertising yourself as a corporate company, right? Yeah. But that was a big, like, that bothered me. So I not left bitter, I left in a feeling like, all right, everything that I showed Fahar earlier today, the UI kit. The last UI kit I built explains and expresses the entirety of the design and the the UX that I wanted you to be able to have in this type of application. And none of it's based around marketing. It's like, how many stars do you have for development? That's how many tests you've passed by an employer, right? Not someone just said you're good. I'm going to go on your LinkedIn and I'm going to endorse you. Why? Because it says that somewhere along the lines we worked in a group but not together. So that person's going to give me my endorsement on LinkedIn for my next job. The one that blatantly says we never worked together. right? Like I didn't get that, so I was a little bitter about University Beyond, and um, we did some really cool things in terms of like the division I was building out next was UV Insights. Are you live still?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I said I'm still live and
I don't mind it. I'm being totally. I'm being just being truthful. Like, we succeeded and did a great job. It's
yeah.
not the area I wanted. I'm not a marketer, right? I
Yeah.
think many of you guys know this. I don't sell things often, right? I'm usually like highlighting people's work that I love, or I'll help you support it. I'm not selling my own stuff, right?
Mhm.
I don't. I feel uncomfortable. It's like asking for something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and eventually you have to, right? Or if you just know your product's that good, you're like, dude, buy it. It's that good. I know that feeling too. But for me, it was like I no longer could work on that mission I had. While every day since I've watched that mission become true. Every coding boot camp, that every triple byte, every hacker rank is a piece of what that ecosystem would have been. It would have all been ways for you to, upskill yourself to this one profile you have when you graduate college that would have eliminated the need for just that degree to be important. It would have been, what have you done while you were there,
Mhm.
right? Those 4 years worth of your growth are more important than those 4 years in the textbook. And that's what I felt was important. I didn't say don't go to school. I said, while you're there, do these things on top of that,
Yeah.
right?
Because at the end
That
of the day, like in any major, all a company is gonna see is like, oh, you have this degree, your friend has this degree, so what makes you different?
and almost nothing. And is what makes you different fair to say because you chose to go to a school that was going to give you $20,000 less debt when you got out? Because
Yeah.
that's a lot of the times the reason why the more intelligent person chose a less ranked school to not have to have, because they didn't have the financials. Like that's not a model for success. I don't even want to get started on the higher education system because it's silly that the whole thing is not all income share agreements now.
Yeah.
It's the only business in the world that educates all day and doesn't realize yet itself is going out of business. Right? Like they teach until they can't teach about the one thing they don't know. They are going out of business. Like I don't mean this in any mean way or negatively or like towards anyone that is a teacher. But many, many, many people you went to high school with or you went to elementary school with or college that are now a teacher. Right? And when you look thinking back and you're thinking, you're like, that's who our teachers are. Like, I looked up to my teacher. That they were the person who didn't know what else to do. Now there's some amazing professors and amazing teachers. I'm speaking about the idea that that's the mindset. Whatever, I'll just go be a teacher. Like teachers don't make a lot of money. Like that shouldn't be true. It shouldn't be the stigma that teachers don't make a lot of money. We're the number one country in education in the world. Now we're like 30. Because why would I be a teacher?
Yeah.
Right? Well, how about this? Income share agreements work in the manner of I'm going to take a piece of the income that I can get you, right? If I am good as I am, as or I say I am, and I can make you that much more intelligent, I can teach you models and theories that will allow you to succeed in business, not in the textbook. You're going to earn more money. You're going to thrive. You're going to be able to achieve more. If the income share is worked out as once it's paid back, if everything above X amount of percentage of earned revenue to the business. For those who don't know what income share agreements is, it's basically if I'm thinking about going to Full Stack Academy right now, right? I know how to code well. We were talking about this, but I teach myself bad habits. I didn't learn from the correct manner. I didn't learn from institutional instructing. So I learned how to write a certain script or a certain language, not why or how the computer's interacting with that, right? So, like, I was even thinking about like, going back to school. So I looked at Full Stack Academy after I got some people in the market advice. I spend $0 up front. If I spend 3.5 months there working on project-based work only, that sounds like fun as hell to me. I don't know about you. Like, so I get to spend 3.5 months, 9 to 6 all day, peer programming with people building products. First of all, sign me up. Second of all, like, that's free if you don't get me a job that's worth $80,000 a year in 6 months. That whole education was free. that means not only can they definitely believe they can get you a job and will, but on top of that, they have no choice but to. And if not, you spent 3 months building your skills and it was free. If that professor was an ex Facebook employee, PM, don't you think he's now helping you recruit? You finish his course, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna put you in touch with a few people. You get 200K out of college. That professor just made more money in 1 year than the tenured professor in the Midwest of the country did. You
Yeah,
can bring you can bring talent back to the education system.
and then
People can be
oh,
recognized.
he has 50 students, so it's not just you; it's
That's,
50 other
that's what I'm
people.
saying. Right. You build a network. Oh my God, I want to go learn by that guy. I want to go learn from that guy. The way you want to go learn at Yale, wherever this person is holding their classes. And there's no barriers. Why can't he teach online too? Right? Like you can start, yeah, the amount of money you can earn is ridiculous, but what that does for us is amazing. It puts the smartest people back as the ones educating us, not the people who decided to do that because they didn't want to do the other things. Right? I'm not saying that's every teacher. I'm saying that's a possibility in a teacher. You want there to be another possibility. There isn't the other one. There isn't a, yeah, I'm gonna get rich as hell doing that, right? Like baseball players, football players, they go, yeah, I can make it, be a superstar and be a millionaire. But there's also the side that says you also can get hurt week 1 of your career and never play again, never have a college degree and be done, right? There's both sides. For the teacher side, what is there? Tenure, and a maximum of that in salary you'll ever get from your first day you start, right? Where is the motivation? Where's the getting people who wanted to just help and educate youngsters? It's not. It's the one who wants to play with kids. Like that's not our teachers. Like you know, and I product school did a really good job of doing that. To be honest, like I didn't have a single person come in and lecture me that wasn't like a Vimeo PM right now, right? Or a PayPal senior product designer. Like she's leaving her PayPal office and coming over and talking to us, working us through a sprint. That makes sense to me, right? Like I get it. And it's not even because you're that good and you work with PayPal. It's that you didn't learn this 15 years ago before there were road mapping tools to be able to allow you to break things into sprints, right? I don't know if I trust the older businesses behind you know what I mean, like product oriented businesses. The engineering, we can't argue it. C, C++, Sharp, like those Java, it's not like those are dying, right?
Yeah.
But it's also that those are free online now. So that whole thing is, you could tell that's where my passion lied, was fixing the education system when I was younger. And I built everything, I did everything I could to get there. And I don't have any hostility towards it. It's just, so I don't talk about it. I don't say complaining ever about it. I just build new shit. I work on new stuff. Sorry for cursing everyone.
It's
But
fine.
I think that the thing you have to learn is that like that was the first time I ever tried, right?
Yeah.
I got pretty good for the first time, and B, the amount of that I learned about what it is I want to do and what in that even industry I like where I fit. It made me feel like I'm not that lost person. I'm not that kid who's founded this technology company but doesn't really know how to write code and like it's gonna always be tiptoeing around whether or not he can raise money and like convince people this is actually a tech company. Like I found myself able to say, you know what? What's 3 months? Right? What's not just for this full stack, but what's 3 months each time that I'm going to better myself and be able to now do something that, like greater. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
A semester is 5 months, so you're saving 2 months of your time.
Exactly. And if you're working at least 9 to 6 anyway. So like when I hear that, yeah, but it's 9 to 6. It's 9 to 6 because there's 2.5 hours built in the day for you to finish anything you would have at home, but with people, because once you go home, they can't do that to you. You don't know it yet well enough. You know what I mean? To go home and have to do it on do it alone, and then not have the ability to say tomorrow I don't get it because you're learning something new tomorrow, right? Immersive, it's gonna be fast. You better stay late and with someone if you don't get it. Go online, find someone on Code Mentor X. I think it's called Park now. Whatever, a peer programmer online that can walk you through it, right? Like we didn't have that 10 years ago, right? Like if you didn't think you were going to be able to learn it, you just didn't even try. I think that's going to be the next shift. Is like we're going to have degrees that are built around like you get to sample everything because you don't need to focus on what you should be focusing on for your career until you know what that thing is, right? Like I went to business school and I took 9 out of my first 11 courses had to be business classes because I was a direct admit to Kelly Business School in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I took level 1 accounting, level 2 accounting, and then level 2.5 accounting for 3 of those 9 courses that I had to, my first 9 courses I had to take in college.
Mm-hmm.
From day one, knowing I never will, you wouldn't find me dead being an accountant. It bores me to death, right? But I had no choice to stay in the school that I got into, right?
Same thing happened to me. So I went to community college, then I went to state school, and it took me 3 years to get out of my community college because of accounting. I kept failing the middle course for accounting. It's
I
like,
was just the idiot that was like, I'm gonna take it way later because I just really like this course. Like, and then, but yes, I totally know what you mean. Like, it's you're like that one thing you want to hold me back as a person, as a student. Like you're an educator, you really don't want me to go on to the next level because that one type of like problem I'm gonna get once in my life,
yeah,
right? That doesn't make sense to me. It's like we don't want you to get a job because you don't know how to do division. I mean, and obviously not division, but I'm saying like that's dumb. Like, but we have labor laws and labor workers that are never going to do a thing but pick up something with their hands, and they want you to not feel accomplished, right?
yeah,
Like, I don't really see that. That's it's a negative to me. I think that I took 3 writing classes. Like I'm talking about writing theory, right? Like I was studying entrepreneurial studies and business technology. Why the heck am I taking 3 writing courses? And I think that you should have to take writing courses, but I shouldn't have been taking them until after I knew what I was studying. So I'm writing about the right topics. So I'm growing those writing skills,
right.
right? Like that's all. I'm not telling everyone to no screw college. I'm saying just like look at it from like one higher level and be like, is that how you run a business, right? Because they are running a business. They're failing at that, and they're failing at the other thing too. And I'm not the only one saying it. That's all I'm saying, right? Like, I think that parents are gonna have a hard time convincing their kids to want to go to college. Seriously, it's not about the dream of being the Mark Zuckerberg and the rich one. It's the idea that like you're starting to see more people just be as successful without it. And who wants to start life 60, 70 grand a year?
Yeah, like I said, I just finished school and I've considered going to a boot camp just to have that credibility. Like, oh, he definitely knows how to code.
Yeah, I'm like you and I have a different reason for going to that. That's why I went to product school.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I was well educated in products, right? Like if anyone that spoke to me, but how was I supposed to convince someone? And I'll tell you, there's another method actually, but how am I supposed to convince someone that doesn't give me an interview and ask me the questions that are going to come out about how much I know about product placement, right? So things like that, data analytics. If I don't get to the tech audit, I'm never going to show them how well I can write queries and how my mind thinks in a data-oriented manner, right? But if I show them that I even just was willing to go through a course that is highlighting the skills you do have is important, right? You don't want to just go and say, yeah, I took the front-end web development course. Why? Because that's what's in demand and I want to get a job. No, that person doesn't want to hire you. They want to hire you for going and studying what you do well. Because whatever it is you do that well, you fit here.
Right.
Right? Like, that's the way I feel. There's a position for everyone in a team that I have. If what you do well, and you do passionately and compassionately, right? Like, because you could blend that into any role. Right? Like, if you do what you do well, was the first thing I said, then what's the problem?
Right.
Right? Like, I think that is limiting the wrong people. Right? They're hurting the person who's dying to work and get out of this life that they're in. And they're benefiting the person who just has to sail through college. And I don't mean that only financially. I mean that intellectually too. You know what I mean? Like, you were willing to go to one school to the next and then a boot camp, right? Yet someone sees you as not as hireable as the person who drank all day every day, but his dad went to Yale.
Yeah.
That it blows my mind. But it doesn't. I'm sorry. I don't mean to say that. It doesn't blow my mind. It blows my mind that we still talk about it and don't do anything. right? Like, I feel like it's the same conversation for the past 30 years, and every time you try to make any attempt at it, you see a teacher strike or something else go on.
Yeah, and another thing I hate about college or like school in general is that like they're never gonna be able to catch up. Like the last class I took on marketing, it was a communications class, and the professor's going, he's talking about using radio, and he is struggling to transition to like a more modern example, like using Spotify or some other streaming platform to use as a radio example, because they don't know about it.
Where are we? Are you in Skype? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to pop you open to me so I can see you large. Yeah, I think that it's not that they don't know about it. It's that thing I said at first. They have no motivation to continue to better themselves as a professor because they're tenured. They're guaranteed they're going to get their job. They have their job, and it's just their job to teach what they've been teaching forever. That's literally their job. That's embarrassing. Their job should be every year to have to know what this year's marketing principles are. And if they can't apply them, they can't teach it. Right? Like, imagine you walked into a boot camp and you're learning React, and the guy's like, "Oh no, I don't know React, so we're gonna learn C." You're sitting there going like, "No, we're not. We're just not gonna learn that because it's not gonna apply to us today."
Yeah, or if the boot camp is about Fortran.
Right? Like it's not even that. It's more like we're gonna learn how to put the computer together. We're gonna learn hardware. We're gonna build a rig, right? So that we know later on when we try to talk about something 100 years down the road, we know where we started from, right? Like that's what he's doing to you. It's giving you a history lesson to stay in the history. It's a history lesson so that we understand what's valuable and what we did today and why. Totally fair, right? Like I want to know the history of radio so that I can understand the dynamics of music today.
Yeah, but I don't want an entire class about radio.
Right, exactly. I want to hear a 5-10 minute thing about how it led to today, right? Like we have to figure out how we lead this to tomorrow. I don't want to know how yesterday led to the day before behind that. I need to know how to bring today to tomorrow, right? Like that's our next generation's job to do, right? Like, and I think that's the environmental burden we've been faced with too. Like we didn't do it and we're trying to fix it, right? But we're not trying to blame anyone above. Just it feels like someone older than us is taking it like to heart. I wonder who, but I'm not gonna say that. But you know what I mean? Like you're not hurting anyone but your kids.
Yeah, but those people feel threatened by the new model because the new model is making their model irrelevant.
Just nailed the human art of people.
Yeah.
Literally. Jealousy, envy, and greed is like unfortunately what powers so many people in this world, whether or not they mean to get for it to. Think about you or me. Like when you see something happen, you're like, I wish I got that, right? Like, give me 2 seconds. It's the person that's literally sitting there going like, I'm mad that person got that, right? Like, that's just mean. I don't think we're at that. I just think we're all innate to be like, I wish I was the one who did.
I constantly have to remind myself that people are older than me when I see like a really good product on Product Hunt or someone being successful on MakerLog, and that they have a lot more experience than I do.
Yes. They probably launched 10 things that failed.
Yeah.
Right? They tried 30 podcast platforms that did this to us today. Yeah, that's true. I tried on 6 microphones, on off on the volume. I'm telling you, I had my volume on mute and I'm still hearing you. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're entirely right. Like, there's actually a lot of people that I realize are a lot older than I even thought. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Like, people are damn impressively young and damn impressively talented at young ages.
Yeah, Sergio is a great example.
Serge, I hope you can hear this. Like, we're testing where you can buy stock in people. I swear to God, I looked for him. I tried to buy him. What's it called? Yeah. Golden. What is it called? You can buy stock in people. I'm buying stock at Sergio right now.
Dude, I can't remember. But dude, like, I have to remind myself that he's been coding for like 5 years, and so he clearly is a lot better than me.
Right? Like I've been teaching myself since I was 4, and I was 20 when I started. 23. Not 16. He's a one of one too. but I think it's actually easier when you're younger.
It definitely
Easy.
is. Just on time alone, like, you don't have to do your high school homework. You could copy
Right.
someone's.
Way less than that. Like he's like, you really want me to do this homework? He's like, do you see what I'm doing? I got 1,000 member users I got to deal with, right? Like I'm configuring things. Like the guy's like, if I was a teacher, that's like what I did in class too. I was like, when I was in college and I had like the business, I was like, sir, I'm sorry, but I have a call like with like yeah, like 10 minutes from now. I have a call with Marshalls, right? Like the brand. They want us to like help rep them. You're teaching everyone here how you once got a job as a general manager at Marshalls. Like, sir, I'm 20 and I got to do this. Like, I'm not saying that in a bragging way that happened. I'm saying that like those people are going to be slowed down, right? That's who you don't compare yourself to. Those are who we need to let fly through, right?
Yeah.
They shouldn't be going to college like that. Some people should be, but they should all be still finishing it in a way in which like you've built things in the real world to graduate, not like what you said. You learned what 1974 defined the word marketing as, right? Like that's what I feel like I'm learning. It's like I'm learning the alphabet instead of. No, actually, it's better to put it. I'm learning script instead of Chinese. It feels to me like it looks different, right? The first time you write it, but it's not a different language. It looks like Chinese the first time you looked at it. It's like, what are all these things? It's weird letters. It's like, gotta be something different. No, it's just different. There's different and there's wrong. Right? Like, my parents told me that very quickly. I was like, it's just because I'm different, you hate me. They're like I said, little kid. They're like, there's big difference than being different than I do and being wrong by doing it. Right? Like, I was adamant that like if people do something different than you, it doesn't make them wrong. That was the statement I made.
Right.
Right. I wanted to be a rebel, the different one. You gotta fine tune that. You can't just be different. You have to be different because of a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's in here?
I don't know. I didn't even turn on the chat today.
You should have used my pro so you could have seen. You could have chatted back.
Well, there's a chat feature in whatever you call it. In
Twitch?
Zencaster.
Oh.
Oh, there's 3 people watching us.
Who?
I don't know. Dude, comment if you're watching us so we could talk to you. Let's check Twitch, because that'll leave a record of people who are... David might be watching.
Huh. What happened?
No comments. There's no viewers on Twitch. They might be on Twitter or...
No, I'm fine with that because we were having an open conversation at the end, but I think the end conversation we had was actually probably the most beneficial we did.
Yeah.
There's the proof. Can you now take that as confidence? Because like as soon as you stopped thinking someone was watching, and me myself too, and we just started talking about what we wanted to talk about, you weren't scared anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shows you that you can do it. You do it well. It's when you tell yourself you don't is the only time you won't. It's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it's just super awkward, like...
I know.
Recording.
Your host. Have you ever heard Reid Hoffman's podcast?
Yeah, I've listened to some of it.
He's so funny. He's like, you can tell he's hosting. He's like, this is Masters of Scale. I'm like, you might imagine me like standing there like with a microphone, like a PA announcer.
Dude, I was like, when I was introducing you, the way I sounded in my head, I was like, what the hell am I like? What the hell do I sound like?
Only like the first sentence you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You were like just in the beginning. You're like, and this is Brendan Weinstein.
Because usually I'm like, this is the Building an Indie Business Podcast.
That was it. You were like, and this is coming from you live from.
Like I was about to laugh because I sounded like an actual radio show when on my own podcast. I don't sound like that.
I know, I sound like a girl on a phone, like very hardcore. I don't listen to myself in these things because my voice is about way up here. Mm. But it's okay. No, but I found it funny was like I didn't care that that's the way we like that it wasn't a perfectly run podcast because it's like we just said, it's called open podcast for a reason, right? It's
Yeah.
open because we're not ashamed or shy about it. But more, the first thing I said was, you haven't hosted one of these, and I haven't been on one in a year. Right? I'm not supposed to be like, I'm not here to lecture you and give you your lesson, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I was, I'd be hosting my own paid channel, right? I'm here because hopefully someone's in my shoes.
Yeah. And like, dude, I just wanted like I wanted to try to interview someone because I've never done that. So I wanted the experience because I want to write about it.
Right. But I think that like, okay, when I started first interviewing people like for University Beyond, right? Because I had to like interview students that graduated that were now gonna go get a job. What are you laughing at?
Oh, what am I laughing at? Just,
Yeah. Oh, but you looked like you were reading a comment. I was like, I gotta see this.
no.
So the first thing I wanted to do was like, whoa, it's got a lot of text. Was come on and like be the same as someone else, right? Like I wanted to not come on and lecture, just say like, yo, this is what happened to me, and it kind of sucked up, like for that. But this is what I did about it, right? Because it was there was an article the other day I read too about someone almost selling a business. Like before we did exit a piece of it, we almost fell through to the point where we had spent every dollar we had left pretty much to sell the company, and it was going to be a mutual deal. Remember, he was acquiring our assets and the other company's brand name to put together, and then he didn't want it anymore. Literally, just like, nah. We're like, okay, this can't be happening. Like, there's no way you can do that to like businesses, right? Like, you just gave us $45,000 in legal fees to do nothing. Like, and then eventually it's like a tactic to negotiate. They got us down to a much lower rate. We're like, listen, we'll just give you the whole fucking company, everything in it, but the brand name. Give us the X and we're out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so I think that there's even still manipulation in early stage startups.
Yeah, because the people running the early stage startup, they don't know any better. So you could,
or they're the opposite, and they've already run them. They protect themselves and the fund that always backs them to ensure they keep their returns and that their next venture will be backed by them again.
Right.
Right. If you know how to construct a round and give your sponsor, almost imagine like it's your sponsor, like it's like Nike to A-Rod, right? You're gonna figure out how to put your jersey somehow today to have the Nike symbol showing, no matter what the rules are. If it's gonna mean you make $200 million, right? Same idea. Like they're gonna figure out how to make sure that like that guy gets his money back, because when you have your next venture, he's needed, right?
Yeah.
Like, but Mr. Down there employee who now is fired 2 years in because you spent 20 times as much money as you need to, he's broke and doesn't have a job. The VC you just got paid now has $25 million. Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that we've overlooked where the wage imbalance is coming from.
And before VCs even start investing, the way they make money is just so weird. Have you heard of 2 and 20?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And like scouts.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what 2 and 20 is when a VC takes money from an investor, they get 2% off the top before even investing it. So you get, if the investor gives the VC $1 million, they take 2% on top of that, and then they take 20% off any profits made.
Right. So also there's also a carry, right? Like and okay, so here's the best way I like to explain selling a company to someone. If you raised $10 million, right? And now your company is valued at $20 million because you sold half of it, right? Keep in mind the entire time through this, how much money did I say we raised? 10 million, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. If we operate for 4 years, right? We've raised 10 million, we were profitable, but we don't have crazy money sitting in the account, right? Someone comes along and offers us $18 million for the business, right? You're like, damn, that's awesome. Like we probably just all made at least 8 million, right? Because our investors are going to get back their money, right? They have to give them their money back. They've probably already seen their money. We've been profitable for 8 years. You think they've seen their money. That's their not paying back rate. There's nothing about that is any of their equity. It's their incentives and the options they've been afforded in their agreements. And the first right of refusal, if anyone else wants to buy a share, they get the right to also. Good. So they keep the ratio of what they of owning everyone. And then secondly, they get a 20% discount plus first money out. So you're telling me that now that 18, cut it by 20% because that investor's taking 20% more, right? Okay, good. Now we're at 12. Company sold for 18. 6 years of business, you have $6 million total left, right?
Right.
All we did was pay one investor. Can you imagine now what institutional investors with 4 times rights privileges where you've raised 150 and now you're going to sell for 80? You owe 70 million. You didn't just get 70 and like you pay out everyone a percentage of what it was worth at that time. You owe that whole 80. You end up with 0, right? Because their rule is the first money until there's no money, not first money as a percentage of what's out there. Like that's confusing to some people. Like if you raise it a certain amount just because your next valuation goes down, you eat that cost. Right? Like
Right.
that's damaging. What it should be done is like you can defer that 20% pay, right? Or the investor can defer his some sort of way in which it's designed so that if that investor wants to get out now, he can, but to another investor who's going to make sure I have the same amount of money today to operate, right? Like I'd rather that happen than 6 months later when he can get out, he leaves with his profit. Because now I don't have a chance. The 20% extra he was sitting on was what I've earned in the past 3 years, right? The startup? Yeah. He just took all the money we made. We're back to square one. How is the investor who already is a billionaire, how is that the guy who gets that? Not the guy who just sat there working the whole time.
Because
Right?
the money's the more important aspect, so he is the most important part to them.
Right. I was gonna say I think we're moving finally in a direction that isn't the money first. Like, and it'll always be the money first. Money makes the world go round. It does.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not necessarily the money when you think about it. Like, where will big money be coming from in 20 years? Not banks. Not the people who say I have money, so I'm going to give it to a certain type of person. It's going to be the people who change the world for green, right? The whole green movement. If you can make that big of a world impact, like Al Gore did, you become worth $250 million, but in the good way,
Yeah.
right? All his money goes to the good now, right? And he was one time that guy he didn't like ran president. It's that type of investor, the ethical investor, right? Like the Ben and Tyler, the Ernest Caps, Ryan at Weekend Fun, like people that are trying to invest in you because the goal is that money is going to make you achieve. I love that space. Venture capital. Let's put those 2 words together. What does it mean? What does the word venture mean, if you could define it?
Venture's like a project, right?
It's going to make you really angry when you find out what the 2 words together mean. A risky or daring journey or undertaking is the definition of a venture.
Mm-hmm.
And capital is defined as
Money.
A term for financial assets such as funds held in deposit accounts or obtained from financing sources, right? So you're telling me that you're putting the word risky, not likely to return, and unproven bet of financial capital that is not yours in the form of cash.
Mm-hmm.
That's what venture capital is.
Yeah.
Right. That's supposed to be like a good feeling. I'm getting your risky money.
Right.
It's literally defined as a risky or daring journey or undertaking, and then the next part of capital is a form of financing. So it's a risky form of financing.
Yeah.
Imagine you walked up to someone, hey, can I give you a risky form of financing? I would love to be a risky financier. No, you can't be. No, if you're talking about anything with risk, you're not funding it. that it shouldn't be a venture, right? It should
Yeah.
be a partner investor. Strategic investors have always been the best investors, right? Like if you can get an investor like a media brand and you're a marketing company, right? Now you got your client, right? Like partner investors, ones that don't need to give you the cash, what they can give you and who they can give you is so much more, is worth so much more than the cash that you would have rather than do that than the cash.
Yeah, like with NDVC or Earnest, they have an incentive to see your company grow.
But they don't receive revenue then. They take
Yeah.
a percent of your revenue. If they convinced you wrong to overspend and now you're not earning revenue, they spent their money. Remember, they're still giving you money. They spent their money to watch you fall. So in fact, they're risking them. They're betting on themselves. Their risk is on themselves, right? That's what's fair. If you want to use the word risk in the word venture, the only one can be taking the risk is not the person who's going to take the money, right? It should be that if you give me money, there's no way I ever lose it. If the word says risk to start, right? It says venture. How did you make the money and I lost it? I didn't do a venture. I built. You ventured. You made. I lost.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny because I get into this conversation often with people, but I don't have a strong opinion either way. I have a discussionary opinion. I truly want to know what people's sides of that are because oftentimes I am very wrong, right? But someone will say something about how much money the government makes off of taxing a certain class, and that's now paying for Medicaid or whatever, right? And I can be totally wrong about those things. So I'm not telling someone I'm right. I'm just saying, doesn't that confuse you, right? Like leave it that way. Let someone who knows better come in and tell us. And if we still disagree with it, then we have the right to say something, right? But we also do jump to they're a bad person because they don't agree with me.
Yeah.
I think we're quick to judge and even quicker to degrade people.
Yeah, definitely.
You skip the judging part when you degrade them. You don't even take the time to. You're like, oh, he's whatever, she's whatever, right? Like, do you still have people in here?
No.
Good. I don't know. They hate them to hear that.
Do you have to go?
In 4 minutes, I gotta go.
All right. This
So
was
you have to run.
this was great, dude.
Yeah, it was really fun. Even if we're not live streaming, we should chat.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Like, and before the next time we do, let's do this in a mock manner, and that way we can not that it's perfect, so we can fine tune to figure out the ways in which we can do this better, right?
Yeah.
Practice a mock.
Yeah, it'll never take us 30 minutes to just figure out how to get everything ready ever again.
And less than that too. It'll be in a way in which one of us is looking at Twitch, right? Because you and I or I should be messaging you that someone's watching this or not, right?
Yeah.
Like at the very end like that, right? Like I would have loved to be do you guys have any thoughts? See if they write in, right?
Yeah.
Just that. I'm not saying we had to today. I'm saying next time or the time after, let's try to make it so that they're not thinking they're gonna see the same thing we just spoke about again. In fact, I'm interviewing you. Seriously. Oh my God. That is where I'm naming my podcast. Flip the script.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Everyone that's a podcaster that interviews, I'm just going to go around interviewing podcasters.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, and by the way, I nailed this kid's first meetup. Name of his first meetup. No Code meetup in Atlanta. Ryan from No Code No Problem messaged me and was like, can you just talk to this kid that he wants to throw one in Atlanta and he doesn't really know how to do a meetup. So I'm like, okay. It's a podcast, by the way, No Code No Problem.
Oh, okay.
It's great. And then, so I was like, sure. So we ended up chatting for 2 hours. The guy's hilarious. He worked for years for Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, which is a $100 billion company. And he what did he say? Oh my God, he went so well. Oh, fuck. What were we just talking about 2 seconds ago?
No Code, No Problem.
What?
You helped the guy from No Code, No Problem.
Oh, all right. Okay. So he asks me for help, right? With this whole thing. I teach him how you should probably walk people through what their stack should be before you make them build something and then come in and with questions, right? I was like, walk them through and give them a sample stack. Make them use these three build something this week and come in with their questions about what they did right, wrong, that could have done better, showcase some of the others. He goes, he was like, wow, you just named my fucking meetup. He was like, start with the stack. Like, that's brilliant. Like, I actually really, I might steal that from you and make it a podcast. And I'm just going to discuss not your stacks, which you're not recording this, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Do you want me to stop it?
No, I wasn't going to say anything wrong. I was going to say I wasn't going to highlight your stacks. I said the word your stacks, but I didn't mean your stacks. So I was like, I hope people didn't think I just meant your stacks. I meant like just your stack. I wasn't trying to highlight the company. But they're not the first to do that. You know what StackShare is?
Yeah.
Yeah, they just gave away StackShare decisions. Like, you can now message the GitHub developer and say, like, should I be using this or this for that? Right? Like, they're not the first product hunt. They're just trying to make it in a network in which they have already community, and the database of products they have are not just what the engineer is using today, right? Like, right. It's everything. It's your life. But I think StackShare said, like, there's a big difference. So the StackShare's like numbers and reports show so much different than like what's the ones with like CB Insights, right? Like, and like those like industry reports. If you look at browsing stacks, this is what's cool. I actually had to verify mine. Verified check means their engineer and not someone at the company like anyone in your stack can. You just go and I'm going to add that to my stack. Yep. Someone at Uber has verified this is Uber's actual technology stack, right? Like, that's very cool that I can follow their developer who's giving me advice. Their tools, their partner tools are these, right? It's breaking it down. Their followers and their team. Discussions about it, right? Like, here's that product, React. Now I'm in a developer conversation, right? I needed to know about React. And now here's a Stack Overflow like manner of profiles where I can go to him and now I can find out the question I needed to know. Recent tech decisions, right? It's a decision thing where he's going to answer questions to make your decision for you. That is a built out stack site, right?
Yeah.
You can have private stacks. You can find a tool. There's jobs. My question is this. Why wait so long? This has been around for goddamn years, right? This Techtron goes like 2015. Like your stack to say it's the only place you can view each other's stacks, like, is very wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll wrap it. I gotta go, but I want to ask a question. Do you think it's going to take away from the tech side of part-time? Because I know for a fact, as many girls as I know would come on there too and stack Hervé Leger dresses or like whatever branded things they wear. And now I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that right now we have a community of like-minded individuals, even male, female, gay, straight, right? Like it's still because I want to be looking at that. Right. If I want to be looking at brand name, that's a lot different. And that's all I feel like without categorical grouping. I need to see Apple and now its suite of products. So I can look at its developer tools and now just look through those, right? Filtering by, is this a physical good or is this like what you're using in your everyday, right? Like in your work.
And that's what kind of made me sad about the product of the year is that it wasn't someone from the community. It was like a brand's product.
Yeah, like what was product of the year? Was
I don't even remember, dude. But it wasn't something someone built in the community. Here, I think I have it right here.
Yeah, I have it too.
Because it's like, here is a chance to highlight someone, and you just missed it.
I agree with that, but I would say this. It should say when you're creating it, when you're launching products, to compete in this year's Webbies, please select this button. That means you must launch your company on Product Hunt, right? Like, that's fair. You don't have to be a member. You have to have been able to show the members the product first, though, if you want to be nominated. That's what I think you should have to do.
Right.
Because if you think about it, like it was FYI product of the year.
I think
Remember,
so.
it was great. Yeah, it is the great. It is that great of a product. But you want to know why it is?
Why?
Is because he combined FYI with, first of all, I have 36 different account sources in there, and I have a terabyte of data, and I can find any single thing in a 3-letter search in under 3 seconds. Any file of any one of those accounts.
Wow.
It's an app or it's a new tab page. Wait, I can share you my screen if you want real quick. I can show you what it does.
Okay. Actually, dude, you have to go.
I don't like have to go. I was just I'm meeting my sister. She lives 4 blocks away.
Oh, I thought you had the interview.
No. The interview's at 7. It's at 7:30.
Okay.
It's 4:30 in San Francisco at that time. I said 4:30, but it's 4:30 Pacific.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. I wish I did, but
Yeah, dude,
where's my?
on my phone, I have like a clock of where everyone lives. Like I have an Ireland clock, I have a Singapore clock.
Like, just does it tell you who's there though?
Yeah. No, it's just like where Fajar lives, where David lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm making a, like, I'm thinking. I've been trying to, and I keep stopping. I'm making a map. The back splash of MakerLog, how it's that black border,
Yeah.
should be a pinned map of where everyone is, and that's how you can find a community member, right? Like imagine like the square, you know what I mean? I'm talking about that banner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see often like a map of the United States, of the world, and you just see pins dropped. Imagine that was like where the community of makers is from. It would look so good for a marketing standpoint, saying we are this diverse.
Yeah.
Right? Like we are literally spread across the country, across the world.
Yeah.
I think that's like the best marketing you can have. Is like come in and see where our users are from. Oh, you're in San Francisco. Oh, you're in China. Just hover over China. Talk to one of those guys. Like it does a lot for you. I think there. Where's my cluster? Look, I have 178 extensions installed right now. 117.
Jesus.
Sorry. Look.
You just reminded me of something that made me nervous in the interview. Is that you kept moving back and forth, and so
My chair bounces. It's so fucking annoying. Watch this. I'm gonna do it right now. Like that. It goes like that, and this carpet. I know. I tried to do this instead. I'm sitting on the rail,
mm-hmm.
right? Or I could just do this and be smart about it. And I can just lower my fucking stand-up desk like a normal human being and sit. Right? Like, but I need to just show you this real quick. Do you use Chrome?
What?
You use Chrome now, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite extension?
I'd have to say Sizzy or CSS Scanner or Scan.
Do you have CSS Scan Pro?
No.
Worst extension ever. It doesn't do anything different. You don't have the Product Hunt new tab page? Oh, it's great. It's great. It's the easiest way to not have to go on Product Hunt and still get the fact and still see the products of the day. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let me just. This is pissing me off. I use an extension thing where if I click one button, it turns all of them off, but there isn't a one button to turn them all back on.
I'm gonna exit the stream.
Okay.
All right, later, person who's